Moo and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pinktron. I am Brent Robinson, and I am joined today by John Keenan. John, what are you drinking?
I have pilfered the refrigerator and found a Best Day Brewing Kolsch style non-alcoholic beer, which I have no idea where this came from. So it was either that or some strange mushroom kombucha, and I wasn't ready to go there.
A mushroom.
It said mushrooms on it, and I just thought, no, I don't need that.
I feel like mushrooms and liquids should generally never go together. I think that's my take on that.
That's a good that's a good policy.
I guess maybe a mushroom soup, but anyway. Anyway, we're also joined by Sean Fogelberg. Sean, what are you drinking? Hopefully it's fungus free.
Uh, I mean, yeah, is kombucha? I think kombucha is that just E? Anyway, yeah, there may that might be mushroom, like it
It's a
might be fungus-ish.
culture.
Yeah, it's
There's probably fungus in there.
anyway, I do have a kombucha, but my beer sitting here is one that is a local Davis brewery that I saw yesterday when it's a girl beer double IPA. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Gaslight
Very
Gatekeep Girl Beer. So it's a double IPA with hibiscus, 9%. I think that like that's the gatekeep part because not many people are gonna jump into the double IPA 9% in a like what is this, the 16-ounce size. So
Yeah, they're lured in by the Powerpuff Girls logo and then
yeah.
realize, no, this is not going to end well.
Oh, that's funny. And I have a cranberry ginger ale sparkling water, which is very tasty.
Come on, what time is it
But
there? Oh
it's
wait,
fine.
you're
Yeah,
still
still dry, still
still
dry.
dry. You're like
I'm like 100 days now.
third of the year
Yeah.
Yeah.
closing in.
Yeah, I made it through a lacrosse tournament. I made it through report cards.
You made
I
it through a gymnastics tournament.
gymnastics competition. That was a rough one. We'll see. Well, I feel San Diego will definitely probably break the back. I think otherwise it
Yeah,
might break Chris's heart.
I feel like Chris showing up with a trunk full of whiskeys will probably
Yeah.
get you.
If I don't have a Miller Lite with Chris on my trip to San Diego, I feel it might not be quite the trip that we'd planned. But speaking of unplanned trips that will make things wet, I don't know. I got nothing on this one. Trips to the US. It's in the US. There you go.
Speaking of after parties,
The
maybe.
nose an after party. There it is. Oh, I should have had it. Blew it. All right. No Spring Chickens is on Libby Hill after party. It is a points race with fastest through on every segment counting, and it's 3 laps.
It is 5 laps
Oh, we're
of
doing the full five.
well, if it's Libby Hill after party, like that is the full route. You do 5 laps up on top. Uh, with the I guess that's the fan flats part.
Mhm.
Yep.
Where you go through Monument Avenue every lap. And then after the fifth time, you go down through Broad Street before
And you
descending
get the
down.
little bonus sprint there.
Yeah, the one extra, so the sixth sprint before you descend down to the river. And then it finishes at the top of Libby Hill.
So yeah, the 6, 7 segments, right, will be Monument Ave times 5, Broad Street times 1, and then Libby Hill times 1, and the finish. Right, you can get time points on a finish one. You can't get first across the line points on a finish.
Got it. Yeah.
In your age group.
Cool.
To
In your age group,
slice it
yeah.
even further.
Right. So so John, you raced this morning. How'd it go?
Yeah, I did race one. It was not as civilized as previous points races I've been in, where people go hard for a minute and then they'll just sort of collect themselves. It was more, I think it was because that first sprint it's pretty early, right? It's what, less than 5K ish. And it just kept stretching and stretching and stretching. And it was more like just a giant conga line through the first sprint. And then it just blew up, right? That's when it got sorted into multiple groups and grouplets. And one of the racers posted in the chat, like, what the hell just happened? Evidently wasn't ready for the points race format.
Or so wasn't ready because like everyone started sprinting at the
At the sprint
sprint.
line,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, right.
And somebody else chimed in points race, and they said, "Well, what does that mean?" It's like, okay, learning curve.
And now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then,
I mean, so what did you get in with some wheels?
so yeah, I got sorted into a group that probably was. I was probably a little. I probably should have tried for that next group in front of me, but by the time I figured that out, they were 30 seconds up the road, and I just thought, I don't think that's going to happen. So I just kind of hung in with them and then really practiced on hitting the sprints as hard as I could, like just falling like 5 meters back way before the sprint start line and then just hitting it hard. And it turns out I was actually racing one of the guys in my group. So that was a good tactic.
Was he
And
doing the same thing, or were you like getting the
no,
draft off him and beating
he was
him?
just sort of staying in the group and
But he was in your
yeah,
age category.
he was in my age category. Yeah, yeah. And there wasn't a lot of sprinting. There was another herd rider, Kathleen W. I want to say. She
Mhm.
was definitely hitting the sprints hard, but there were like 3 or 4 other guys that were just sort of like they just kept going. I don't know if they didn't know it was a sprint race at all or a points race at all, but they weren't hitting it terribly hard. Um, and we ended up sticking together all the way till Libby Hill, and then it just that ended up kind of stringing us out. So
Looks like a second in your age group, John.
that's the best I've done so far in the spring chickens. There was an A, like the other guy did not beat, was a category A, which I've had in all my races, which is humbling. But it's
Oh,
interesting too of reading, like they have their little bios. Like that guy had an interesting, like I guess he used to race back in the day.
oh yeah, look at that. Cool. That's a good result. Looks like a pretty good crowd. Like, these are good numbers.
Yeah, yeah, it was a pretty. I
50 or
think there
60.
were 70 in the race. I don't know how many
Uh,
ended up.
it looks like it says 82 or
Oh, is
um,
it? Oh,
Wow.
okay.
And
at
what
least
are
Huh.
in the signups it's oh it looks like 47 finishers, so not terrible.
Yeah.
At least on Zwift Power. You said last week that what was the time that which race did you do last week, John? Because you said there were like 90 in the race.
Yeah, it was a huge race. I did the 11 a.m. Saturday race, and yeah, it was really big, and it was a little more civilized. I felt like there was some groups sort of catching up to each other in between the sprints, and then they blow apart again and then recoalesce.
11 a.m. Saturday, which
Oh,
time?
sorry, the universal time of Pacific.
Universal Pacific time.
Universal Pacific. It's the new universal time. Forget that Greenwich Mean thing.
Terry Rigby took 3 of the 6 sprints.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, he also did almost 17 watts a kilo for 15 seconds, so
Jesus.
Terry's
ridiculous.
a bad, bad man.
Terry's just like if Terry had like stronger FTP, he would win every A race.
Well, the funny thing is, I can tell because so Terry and I raced like ladder together, and we raced Mustangs and stuff together. And he had something going on with his trainer. I can't remember exactly what it was, but then he got it sorted, and all of a sudden he got like 25 watts or something back of his FTP, and his sprint came back together. Like he was kind of like struggling to hold the group, and all of a sudden now he's like right to contest all the races. So it's he's been having a good spring so far.
Yeah, I
Good.
mean, he is at the like top of B in terms of like long power, and he's got just stupid short power. So
Yeah, yeah, he really drives it. He posted a video from us doing commentary like last winter. And it's like, oh, there goes Terry. He like went through like four guys. Like a rocket for sure. Bike choice, I think with all those sprints,
oh
you're full arrow 100%.
yeah, even I mean even Libby, and we'll talk about this later. I think it's fast enough that you're not going to lose a lot by not being on Tron.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Maybe I should write it
And
again. I wrote it on Tron, but I didn't think about that.
I don't think you're going to get a better result than you did today.
No, no, not with a bigger group for sure.
Cool.
so. Did you get all four in, John?
All
Well,
four. I did.
sprint
Yeah,
chickens.
yeah, yeah. So I think,
Hey,
yeah, there's
nice.
only like a dozen in my age group that have done all three. So
You're gonna be in good shape.
yeah, yeah.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
I
Nicely
will
done.
not have done all four. I had to miss a couple weeks ago, so
Yeah, I haven't done it. Did I do one? I might have done the first one.
you going to race this one?
I hope so. Not obviously race two. That starts in 3 minutes.
Yeah, we're
If anyone's curious when we're taping, it's fairly right during race two. Maybe we'll just like open up our phones, check on the race,
Oh, I
Mhm.
mean, I
prop
might
do
just
commentary.
Yeah. Check the live results.
yep.
I just don't have screen space. I'm only on one monitor here. I'm like in the cave. It's like caveman times here with my one monitor. All right. Yeah, I think I mean, I don't any other strategy for this stuff. I think it's just go as hard as you can the first one, find the next biggest group you could hang on to, and then
Hmm.
Yeah, I
go
mean,
again. I
I
mean,
do think that there is a question of like, John had that like, I should have been in that group ahead.
Yeah.
Uh, there's and we've talked about this where when there is a really wide uh power differential, you know that eventually you're not going to be able to stick with that front group, and so you have to know for yourself when to pull the ripcord a bit. Um, and whether and like for this, I think there is something to be said for you just go. So the first sprint is a little over 4K in. Like maybe you sell out for that just to make, maybe John could have made that group.
Hmm.
Uh, but was it so did you lose the group because of the sprint or before the sprint, after the sprint? Like
I mean, it
when
was
did
real. It
those
would have been after the sprint, right? Because going into the sprint, it was just a long, oozy line of, two, three, four people across. And then the sprint happened, and you could see people moving through the sprint, and you could see people falling back. So it wasn't until sort of after I looked up from the sprint that, yeah, there were big gaps in the, and I think that's when you got to really sell it out. And that's what I did last week. I feel like better, where I could see a group and it was only like 10 seconds in front of me. And I just pushed as hard as I could to catch that group. And then we were able to catch the group in front of them. So, but this time it was a solid 30 seconds by the time we got enough people together that we could maybe catch the next group. And I just don't think there wasn't any motivation to do it. I let it a couple of times, but it was not going to happen.
yeah.
yeah, the thing about like an FAL race, especially, is kind of that like, do I push like hard to catch this group, but then I'm tired when I get to the next segment.
Right. Well, FTS, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
You
did you
said
say
FAL,
fast?
but yeah.
Oh, sorry,
But
FTS.
when
Yes,
you're
sorry.
when the points are for going fast through that segment, like
Yeah.
do you spend a lot of your energy between the sprints? Yeah,
And how much faster that group is moving and how much more of a boost you get from that, right? Like, 'cause if you get
yeah,
like, if say you're in a group of like three, but the group head is six, and they're going to be a little bit stronger, you're going to be able to get more speed. And so then if it takes you, 3 minutes at a little under threshold to catch up to those guys, because they're probably not that motivated, but it's tough. You got to really just go by feel and know yourself. It's really one of those things where you really got to know your own pace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was really focused on. I am not a good sprinter, so I really wanted to really work on that. Like really fall back to the edge of the group and then even drop off the back of the group a little before the start line, and then just ramp it up before the start line hits and try to get as much of the draft as I could. And I feel like I did it a little better this week, certainly better than last week where I was just hanging on for dear life.
Guys like Mark and Origin are so good at that. Like I never have the confidence. I'm always worried I'm gonna get dropped, and so I always am a little too close. So I never quite catch the back right at the start of the thing. Guys like
Mm-hmm.
Mark and Origin have that timing down so good that when they come on, it's like they sprint on and they hit like the back of the pack right at the start of the line, and
Yeah,
they're like right through it. It's like so their timing is so good.
good to watch.
Yep. All right, good. Well, we hope everyone is out enjoying the No Spring Chickens. It's been I think the series has done well. It seems very popular. So, good job, Maryline, organizing that. And good job, everyone, for racing. We'll hopefully see some of you out there. That will bring us to herd beginner racing for the week. We are on Innsbruck Ring.
Yeah.
3 laps or 2 laps?
Right. Nathan did mention that. 2 laps for the short group, 3 laps for the stronger groups, or the higher groups. Good. So yeah, it's a scratch race. If you're new to this stuff and you're listening to herd beginner racing, DCAT only, and then within DCAT, it's sorted out to 3 different ones. So yeah, the lowest FTP number gets 2 laps, and the next 2 up get 3 laps. If
And
you've
this, I
never,
mean, this is one of the harder HBR courses with that, 2 to 3 leg snappers in there.
3 leg
Uh,
snappers sounds hard for a beginner race. I mean, I think it's a fun race. The
it
leg snapper is
is.
a great course, but 3 seems rough.
I think that this was the course that took me to like out of D and into C back when.
Mm,
I do love the like that that effort on the leg snapper is the thing that matters in this race.
yeah.
Uh, and so like when people are this, so if herd beginner racing is about learning how to race, this is the kind of race that does that.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to figure out how to conserve your power, set in the group, save as much as you can for the selection point.
And recovering after the
Yeah.
selection point and still surviving.
well, and then the next part of it is on the last lap. Probably, I mean, any point, I guess you could, but for sure on the last lap, deciding if you're going to try and go off the front and just hold it away across there, right? If you're the strongest, like it's all. No, I have agreed 100% that this is, without having to do a 7-minute climb, this is a good one for people who are getting to racing to learn that, like, where is it going to go away? Why should I sprint here? Why does it slow down? It's good, and I've seen people make it stick from the leg snapper to the finish line. Doesn't happen that often, but it does happen. But it's a hard effort for sure.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things that like beginners don't always like really recognize is like just being in the front like on the flats isn't necessarily always the best. Like
Mm,
just being in first place the whole race isn't going to win you a race. And on a flat course, it you could be fine. On this course, that's going to hurt you. Just like going out and pulling the group around.
well, I wonder how much the subdivision within Cat D, right? Those are
Yeah.
pretty tight power bands for people. So I think the competition is going to be pretty even.
I forget. So is this like HWR No Spring Chickens where everyone races together?
I believe they do,
I
but they
think it
come out of
is.
different. My recollection is they are, but they come out of different pens.
Okay.
Mm,
So it's all the same pens, all funnel onto the course at once. I
Gotcha.
mean, I agree with you, John. There, it should be good competition, but I think the thing is, and I think this is sort of generally true, is that the more you get down the line of FTP, the more difference there is in the sprint abilities of people, right? Like there are going to be
Yeah,
people who can barely pedal for 20 minutes, but can who drop like 1,000 watt sprint. And there's people
Interesting.
who can't do a 20-minute anything, but they also are just not like they're just not
it is true.
that
That
fit or
is
whatever.
the your 15-20 second power is the thing that is least trainable.
Mm,
And like the closest to your peak when you're freshly off the couch. Like,
Yeah, it's just a
you
bit
know,
inherent.
Terry, when he first got on a bike, could probably still do a 15 watt per kilo, like
mm,
15 seconds.
Yeah, it's so I think it will like I guess it'll be very interesting to see like those big watt people if they can hold it for a minute. Let's start with that. Like there is a difference
mhm,
between doing a 15-second sprint and holding it for a minute up the hill.
And
I
I
think it's a
think the
lot harder.
bigger difference is you can do that, but if you, and this is something that I have learned repeatedly over the years, is going really deep on a short anaerobic effort like this uh, will kill your ability to keep doing something aerobically. So
mm.
if you go, like, say you go really hard and drop everybody behind, oh, when that group catches you because you can't push even sweet spot anymore, and they just keep going, it gets really hard to keep holding on. So yeah, uh, love this course for a D race. I think this is a good one.
All right, good stuff. The Climber's Gambit Punch Out is on cobbled climbs, and it is combined time up Libby Hill, up 23rd Street. Is cobbled climbs forward?
Oh,
It's
it's on
Libby Hill at
cobbled
23rd Street.
climbs. Okay.
Probably forward.
He hasn't put reverse, so and he's put them in that order, so I assume that's the forward direction. So regular
Well, yeah,
Libby Hill.
cobbled climbs, you go out, like take a left, go down to the river, go past the river, and then do the climbs.
Yeah.
Okay, so in the
Um,
forward direction.
and the climbs start at around 5K, somewhere in that range.
6.7.
Oh, okay, so there must be a lead in. This is going to be a fun one. We've done this before. Chris has had us do a
Yeah.
combined Libby and 23rd in one of the previous series. And I think for that one, I rode Libby on a Tron, stopped at the top, switched to a TT bike, and then did 23rd on a TT bike, which seems backwards because 23rd is 10%. So it's like, why would you carry that extra weight up?
But it's
Uh,
super fast.
it's so it's 10%, but it's under 30 seconds and you're going 20 plus mile. Like I think by the end, you're under 20 miles an hour, but only just.
Is that
Um,
because you hit the base of it so fast?
so fast. And if you, again, so like, I think it depends on what you can do for 30 seconds. Um, I think if you can't do a like 8 watt per kilo 30 seconds, then like maybe you do go with an aero bike, maybe or a Tron.
My best
Yeah,
time on 23rd Street is in a Climber's Gambit.
Mm.
in here. Um, yeah, the like what so what was your speed on that?
Uh, I'm looking at Zwift power, so I don't know, 27.367 seconds.
Okay. Let's see, people I'm following. So 27 seconds is 22 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
35-ish kph. That's pretty fast. You're moving it. Like,
Yeah, indeed. And I guess, and I mean, the thing is you carry also, like, if you take the lightweight bike, you're going to go slower on the downhill into it. So if you go on the full aero heavy bike, you carry more momentum into it too.
yep.
Yeah, and did you like when did you start go? Did you start going hard on the descent a bit? Did you pedal into the descent to get up to speed?
So I think you know the like flat and then it kind of rolls to the down.
Yeah,
I think I gave it a push over that roll, and then start ramping up the power as things flatten out near the bottom. So it's not like I start sprinting there, but get on like 400 watts at the bottom. And then like as soon as you hit the base, then it's everything you got for that 30 seconds. Um, I'm actually just gonna look at your climber's gambit effort and see what you did to get that time. Let's see, yeah, so you it looks like you did a similar thing where you actually pushed at 600 watts at the top of like on that roll in. So hard push. You were you were pushing 400 or 500 even on the downhill.
yeah. I remember I was trying to get that speed up. I think I had like a speed target in my mind. I wanted to hit like 60 kph or yeah, probably
Mhm.
about 60,
65. Like
65.
you
Okay.
were going 40 miles an hour as you hit the base.
Yeah. Well, that was the plan.
Yeah.
Although funny enough, like I did that at 714 watts for 8.9 watts per kilo. And I'm going at the herd rankings, and the fastest one is like, or the second fastest is TJ, who did it at 9.8 watts per kilo at 785 for 80 kilos and did 20.9 seconds.
So
That
uh
is the big pack going fast across.
yeah, so that's I think the difference is you don't need when you're in a pack, you don't need to push to get speed into the base. So you're going fast into the base regardless, and then you can like then you can push 10 watts a kilo for the climb time. And you're still getting sucked along for the first half of it.
Crazy. Good. And then I mean I think the strategy on, well, I mean, I guess you're allowed to like just chill for at least some time. Don't be too much of a jerk about it.
Yeah, so Chris has definitely said like this is supposed to be a you do one effort, you do the next effort. You're
Mhm.
not just sitting at the like I'm gonna spend the time to uh sit like get my breathing under control while I get the bike change done, but it's not sit at the top for minutes. It's just
And I mean, the strategy on Libby Hill, I think, is just wait till the first turn and then go. Like, go hard from like the start of the line to the first right-hand turn. But the real steep bits and all the part that's hard of Libby is that first right-hand turn. So it's probably like you want to definitely hit the gas once you get past there.
yeah.
There is a
So
steep little bit at the top, isn't there? That like really sharp.
Yeah.
Is it a right hand turn that pops up to 11% or something? But it's not long.
I think if you're on that inside line on that right-hand switch, so it goes like the first right-hand switchback, then there's like a left-hand turn, then there's another right-hand switchback. And I think if
Yeah.
you're on the inside line of that right-hand, it goes as high as like 23%.
Oh, I
Yeah,
haven't seen
I'm
that.
I'm
That's
sure I've seen that.
demoralizing. Yeah.
we did this combo in Climber's Gambit in August. Um, and yeah, so it looks like what my pacing was for Libby was 400-ish watts for the first half until you hit that you hit the like little hairpin where you start going up the cobbles,
Mhm.
and then 600-ish the rest of the way. So it is kind of like what power can you're just trying to keep going fast at that bottom part, and then you're pushing to get a good time. And then there's it looks like I spent 30 seconds doing a bike change before switching over. But I didn't actually do any of that extra push. It looks like it looks like I just kind of cruised into the bottom and started the push right at the base and was going 36 miles an hour. So 10% difference in the speed at the bottom from Brent pushing hard all the way down versus me basically rolling down at 150, 170 watts. And then starting like 5 to 10. So Brent may have a different strategy now.
Yeah, what was your time?
Uh,
Well, you have the sail issue, but
I do. I did a 30 seconds and at 8.5 watts a kilo.
yeah, my recollection, I think I beat Chris by like 0.1 or 0.01 seconds on that one. It was like so close. And
Well, here's
but
a
I feel it was
here,
just that one. But
Yours was, I looked.
oh,
So
okay.
this one was like that was the second of two. But yeah.
here's a dramatization. Anyway,
Dramatization.
dramatization. Thank you. Of the effect of the draft. So I did it, like you said, Sean, in the August of last year, and it came in 154, 330 watts.
On
And
Libby.
on Libby, yeah. And did it today in a group with the draft, 337 watts. So okay, a little bit
Same-ish
more
power.
watts. Yeah, same-ish power. 146. So
Yep.
dropped a good 10 seconds off
Yep.
of a 2-minute climb. Like that's dramatic.
This is it's one of my favorite games when we talk about Climber's Gambit every week is like trying to figure out which of those times was done in a group versus in Climber's Gambit.
And in a
Because
group that matters. Like if I was in this race and nobody was around me.
yep,
Yeah.
it's just we have so like a lot of these climbs we've ended up racing so many times at this point, and you start looking at the Strava times and it's like, well, I mean that's really fast for the amount of okay, that was in a group. That was in
That was a
ZRL and
big
there were
group.
120 people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good. Well, everybody get the last week of the punch out in, and that will bring us to the herd of mountain goats. We're doing the Bigfoot Hills. I think that's the full route.
Is it the full route?
I've never done this route. It
It
looked
is
interesting.
67.5K.
Plus a little lead in.
Oh, yeah, basically 70K.
70K. And you do all the small hills. Titans reverse, Zwift KOM reverse, and the volcano.
I mean, love it.
That sounds like a fun. I don't know why I haven't done this.
I feel it was in some event once, but anyway.
It was, but I don't think it was the full route.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think it probably ended like on volcano halfway through.
Oh, did you say it's 65K?
It is 70K with the lead in.
Oh, okay, okay. So I was gonna say maybe he's stopping it at the top of the last climb at 65 or something,
Maybe.
because that's a normal climber's gambit thing to do.
Because
But
the
I
route
feel
looks
like
like
he's
it's
been doing the like full routes recently.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so the order is desert to Titans forward. I can never remember which one is forward and reverse.
Yeah, it says forward on my list.
Yeah, Titans forward, and then
Zwift KOM forward.
Zwift KOM forward, and then but then not to the volcano. Then you go back and do. Oh
No,
no,
you
then
do then the
volcano.
volcano, and
Yeah,
then
the
Titans
volcano.
reverse.
Titans reverse.
And
Hilly.
Zwift reverse.
Zwift KOM
Or
reverse.
hilly, yeah.
With like
Finish in the desert.
a long stretch in between Titans reverse at the end and into hilly reverse at the end. Like there's
Yes.
yeah.
And it's a long ways from hilly reverse to the finish too.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it'll be an interesting race.
lots
Uh,
of pedaling.
I again, this is one of those ones where it's like we'll see who shows up.
Mm.
Uh, but as Brent suggested last weekend, there is no stampede, so if you're looking for something to do on a Sunday,
Get your
maybe
long ride in.
yeah. I
So,
mean, that's actually if I'm looking for a long run. Like I think I'm going to do Climber's Gambit on Sunday, and then if I am just looking for a long ride, I might jump into this as well and do a double. But this is just a bunch of short climbs. That's a good ride, even if there aren't many people that show up.
It's a really good tour of Watopia, really. Like it covers like
Mhm.
pretty much everything except for all the older stuff that's not the big climby stuff.
mhm.
Yeah.
Doesn't cover the new roads. Doesn't force you down the jungle. Man, I did a workout and I made the mistake of picking Serpentine 8. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I just like clicked some recommended route. I'm like, oh God, it's the freaking jungle the whole way. I mean, it doesn't matter because you're doing a workout, but like it's like, oh
But you're not clicking as many virtual miles.
yeah. Anyway. All right, that brings us to
Don't you wait, don't
bullseye.
you don't you do like the Alp regularly if you're worried about the times?
I know, but now I got my 25 Alps in.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
There was a reason for that. That wasn't just getting XP. And you do get bonus XP at the top of the Alp too. It almost probably starts
I
to
feel
balance out.
like maybe they should
Mm.
just give bonus XP for just riding on gravel at all.
Yeah. Did you guys see my sorry, we're gonna just detour for a second. Did you see my comments from your show from last week about my routes? Aside from Cabot Trail, yes, we should definitely have mountain bike Moab. Like
Yeah, well,
put real mountain
so
bike routes in.
uh
Yeah.
so Doug was saying like all the other hosts are going to be like bummed that they don't get to give their suggestions. So maybe during Around the Horn we get like you two to give your like quick suggestions as well.
Yeah, I stuck them in Facebook to try and drive the engagement, but anyway, I just had
Yeah.
to. Well, we were talking about dirt and going slow. All right, bullseye this week. Stampede's still on break, although we were chatting and I might have found some inspiration for a new Stampede series. Uh, Queens Highway
Queen's Highway.
in Yorkshire. I
How
can
many
never remember
laps?
7 laps, 8 sprints, or the
Yep.
other way around?
Yep. Nope. That's it. 7 laps, 8 sprints. That's a
So Queen
lot of Queens Highway. Holy
and
moly.
Queens Highway is the clockwise or sorry, counterclockwise version of this. So it is the one where you come out of the pens, take a left out of the pens, so you're heading toward the little loop at the top of Yorkshire, and you take a right at that junction. Uh, you head around, and this is the one where you do the kind of long, draggy climb up into the left turn sprint. So the sprint starts and before you hit the corner, and then you turn left, and it kind of
Mhm.
climbs up into the sprint.
It's an uphill sprint. Yeah. It does. I guess it's technically like a little bit downhill from the start line to the corner, but as soon as you
Yeah,
hit that corner, it's uphill. So
I feel
and
like
it's
this
kind
is
of a
one of
long
those.
sprint.
I feel like this is one of those routes, like in Richmond, that as someone who didn't race like a little over a year ago, I would never ride those courses intentionally. And once I've started racing, I find them much more interesting.
oh yeah.
It really changes your outlook on like what the course is.
Yeah, this course is super boring to just ride, and it's
It's
super
awful.
interest. It's super interesting as a crit course.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's a really good bullseye course. Like getting the timing on that sprint is always a bit tricky and like because of that draggy bit up, sometimes people go a little bit early. I've never really seen anyone make the early move stick, frankly. But when you actually hit the gas, like, do you hit it right at the sprint line or do you wait to get around the corner? Because it's bullseye, right? So it doesn't matter how fast you go through. So it's all about kind of getting just enough speed timing on till you hit the turn, and then trying to come up, beat people up the hill into the line, and then if you're off the back or whatever happened, then it's like downhill for a good long ways, and so then it's all about like how hard do you go to try and catch on, or hard do you go to try and drop people right off. Um, yeah, and like 7 or 8 times. Well,
Yeah.
it's so this is the one I'm pretty sure this is the infamous James Bailey anger sprint where he said his fastest ever or highest power or whatever.
Yeah.
In the Omnium. The scene
And
of the crime, as they say.
like this is one where it is really fun to just have a lot of people out there. So
Mm-hmm.
hop in. I might be having to miss the ZRL this week, and like maybe this is my makeup because I do like this course.
And this is the all Wednesday ride, right? The bullseye. Yeah.
Yeah, I always have a tough time on the schedule on this one since, life returned to normal. I did do like a full series of it a couple times when I was just at home. Now I have to leave the house.
Uh, for the days of lockdown.
I know. It's funny because of course, like, I don't know about stuff that comes up in your guys' life. Of course, it's been like 4 years almost exactly in the last 3-4 weeks since it all
Yeah.
first happened. And so like there's been all this like, can you believe this was 4 years ago posts? And I'm like, yeah, I can actually.
Yeah. We thought
Just
it'd be over in 3 weeks. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I got really fit.
yeah, I think I got my like 4-year anniversary. I think I started Zwift like April 4th of 2020. Like my new one. I started a new account because I wanted to get the week free or whatever. And after a week, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be paying for this during the pandemic. Let's go.
I'm going to be paying for this forever.
Yeah.
Yep. And now I have a full year subscription because it came with my new trainer. All right. And that is your week of herd racing, everybody.
So speaking of your new trainer.
Yeah. Tell us all about it.
Well, I got the Wahoo Core Zwift Hub Cooker Hub Core one.
With
Whatever
all
it's
the
called.
words, all the names.
Yeah, that's so concise.
Yeah.
Good branding.
Okay, that you know what that is? That is a brand that lawyers came up with and they settled that patent lawsuit. But it's good. I got it all set up. So I mean, of course, the reason I got it is because my right shifter is cooked. So I needed to buy a right shifter, and probably if you're gonna do that, you gotta buy a left shifter and you gotta buy a chain and all this stuff. I'm like, for that much money, I'll just buy a new trainer and I'll get virtual shifting.
Yeah.
But the trick is even and I got the cog, the like multi guys that have a cassette put on it, which in hindsight maybe may not have been the best choice. But the thing about the cog though is you still gotta like get it like in the middle. And so when I have no shifter cable, it's all the way down the cassette. So I couldn't figure out how to get like the thing to stay just in the cassette. So in terrific podcast fashion, I sent the picture, but I didn't even have like shifter cable around. So I used like picture hanger wire and I clamped it. And
Oh,
then
that's what you were trying to show in that. I was
pulled
like,
it.
what is are you trying to show us that thing on the ground? No, the wire, got it.
So I wired the derailleur up into the middle by like wrapping it around the back of my what's that called? Not the down tube, the
Seat stay, chain stay.
seat stay.
Seat stay.
So it's terribly, it works like a damn now. It's so quiet, it works perfectly, but it looks ridiculous. Yeah, I also didn't fix it. I didn't see the bar tape, but of course when the guy was in there, he mucked around with all the bar tapes. The bar tapes all mucked around, but I just chucked the towel down. No science fair under my bar tape.
Wow, show off.
Pretty sure they're aluminum, but I don't know, maybe it's just because I always put a towel on my bars when I ride. So I don't think I get quite as much gnarliness down under my bar tape. So yeah, it's been good. I raced ZRL this week, and I was we had at least we'd Terry's computer froze, so he was out of the race,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And then Ewan had a chain drop. It was about 7K to go, I want to say. So we ended up only having two people in the front group at the finish, me and Brian, and I actually ended up finishing the fastest uh Mustang in the group. I was like, oh,
Nice.
that's probably not good for our team. But I was in the front group to the final sprint, and it was not as like, I know Maryline posted in the chat about hers was rather pedestrian. Ours was attack every breakaway break, and the attacks on the spiral. I don't know about that spiral. It feels like it's too short or not steep enough, but you cannot ever seem to get away there long enough. Like I don't really see many people get dropped on that spiral, but
So I raced it as well, and had a similar experience where like there were attacks. Interestingly, like so it's 3 laps, and on the second lap there was a group of two away for the whole lap.
oh
They got as
wow.
much as 20 seconds, and we caught them because of the spiral. So every
Hmm.
I think that the group gets a good amount of recovery. So you go up that little hill, it kind of crests, and then you descend into that little castle spiral. If you're out front, you're pushing that whole time, even on that descent. So you don't have a lot to like kick hard up that. But if there's a group that's the front can go can sprint up that. Uh and you because you've got a big group, you can have the back of the group they don't have to sprint. Things stretch out and then come back together. But uh it was really interesting just how much time we pulled back just from that. Like I think it was like almost 10 seconds
Oh wow.
just from sprinting uh up that. And yeah, I also I was really hoping that the race was going to go like Mariline had said hers went, where it was like a group ride until the sprint at the end. It was like, oh, that sounds great. Because
Sign
I
me
know I
up.
can do a 30-40 second like hard effort like that might actually ours was not like that, but I still stuck in and I got fifth in our race. So I was uh
Nice.
really happy with it. I was a little this is the complaint is that the timing of these races, so being over a month after the end of the season, you do lose momentum, and not only lose momentum, but like the Zwift games in between, we lost a couple of people from our team because they upgraded. They upgraded in Zwift games. Um, and so we only had 5 riders. And I know that from some of the other chats that I'm in, like there were teams that had were struggling to get 4 riders
Oh yeah.
to just
No,
show
we
up.
did not. We had three, so we
Yeah.
were we were out. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
too bad.
like we would have finished third on points if we had one more rider. But I think we finished sixth. Um, yeah.
So Brett, you wrote it on the new shifter. What's your review?
Yeah. How do you
Yeah.
like the virtual shifting? I've
Uh, it's good. I do like it. I mean, it is fast. Like it is instantaneous. When you hit it, it is like you changed gears like that.
Mhm.
Which is nice.
is
Um,
it nice or is it weird? I feel like there's some like coming from a bike where you're like it's gonna take a couple seconds and I can work into the new power and I gotta like modulate things. Or have you gotten used to that?
I haven't quite most of the time, if you're just riding around, it's fine. In the sprint is where I notice that sort of timing of like when you're doing your sprint, you kind of spin up and then you drop it into like all the way down the cassette, and then you kind of get that little window where you spin up and then you hit it and then you go through it with more
Mhm.
torque on it. You don't get any of that. It's like you're going hard and then you go up and it's just instantly more torque now. and there's no whatever. Although I do like it for climbing more because it feels like it feels like when you come off, there's I don't know what it is, but you get more like the flywheel doesn't quite slow down as much as it felt like in in my other trainers. So you get more carry through. It doesn't feel quite so stompy to do climbing. Like you get more roll through, which I don't know if that's more or less natural. Probably less if we're being honest. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's quiet. It works. No complaints. I mean, and I had that erg mode, and the erg mode is much better than the elite. No, sorry, elite, but
Mm.
it is much more responsive in erg mode, and it feels more responsive actually than the elite too. And maybe this is from switching
Which what trainer were you on before?
elite to Redo.
Redo. Okay.
Yeah, it feels more responsive in the sprints and stuff. Although some of that might be the switch because I've switched on to Bluetooth from Amp Plus for the virtual shifting and stuff. So some of that might be switching that because Amp Plus I think only does like 4 hertz and Bluetooth is like 10 or something.
Does
The
this
new
one do
trainers
the
are 10. Yeah.
does this one do the you
Doesn't
have
do
a
race mode.
race mode? No.
No, that's you got to have a V5 or a V6 for that,
Gotcha.
which is even higher hertz than Bluetooth.
Oh, is race mode over 10 hertz? I thought it was just the 10 hertz.
Oh, maybe that's the difference. Maybe you still only get 4 on regular Bluetooth, but you get the 10 hertz that you can get on race mode. But because you can you do race mode even on Bluetooth? I thought you had to either have the
The
Wi-Fi or the
direct
direct
connect.
connect. Yeah, or Wi-Fi.
I think it's direct connect.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel
I
like
don't know.
thought you could do it in Wi-Fi. And that's one of the reasons I'd have it V5 or V6. But anyway, it's not on this one, unfortunately, but I still like it. And it's like, 60% less, especially once you included like a $200 Zwift membership and stuff. So that's good. I'm happy. All right. What we're gonna do. You want to talk about your
Yes.
computer, Sean?
Yeah, speaking of like new stuff
New
that really
toys.
changes the experience, I got a new computer that's like way overpowered for Zwift, and having come from a laptop that would choke on running Zwift on a like pretty high resolution monitor while also trying to run a YouTube video, like to the point that I've actually twice in the last couple of months had not just like, oh, it's having a problem, the game just stop mid ride. This is an entirely new experience. Instead of having the kind of like mid-level graphics, it's everything's maxed out. It's really good. Um, never a I kind of thought that some of the slowdowns were just internet connection related. No, it was all like the computer just choking on the game. Um, I had a couple of people on my team actually ask like, well, so what is it that you need? And we can talk about those things if we want. Like mine is way overkill. But I actually had somebody on the team who said that, oh, so if you've got like a really nice computer, try out my whoosh. Uh,
Oh yeah.
I have heard that like for a really well-spec'd computer, that is beautiful. So I
Mm.
think that's something that I'm going to be trying this week is just like hop in there, ride around, see what that looks like. And I mean, it's free, right?
Right.
That was the kind of the point of it is like the Emirati uh royalties of,
It only costs your soul.
yeah, like I have one.
Uh,
So, I might jump in and look at uh, what that's like. So I had one of the friends had ridden around in that like for the time that he didn't want to be spending money on Zwift. He took a couple months off and rode on my whoosh. Um, And there are, I mean, there's a belt like we had talked about last week. What are some of the courses that you would like to see? There's a Belgium map, for
Mm.
Oh,
example. There's
really?
Colombia and uh, Alula in the Emirates. So there are some interesting Australia. So yeah, I'm interested in jumping in and just seeing what the just like when I'm doing an endurance ride rather than jumping in Zwift and hopping in with Miguel and riding the volcano for the millionth time, like I might go ride some new routes.
Right, some spring classics.
Yeah.
You can get one of those. You can get an add-on device that basically shakes a flag in front of you as you're trying to ride and see the course.
Yeah, five worlds. There's an Arabian world, Colombia with it's I mean that one's 13K with 350 like Colombia, Australia, Alula, and Belgium. So yeah, I'm gonna I'll check back in a week or two and let you know if that was an interesting thing. But that leads to maybe the last thing we want to talk about, which is last week Doug and I talked about some of our uh wish list routes. Brent, you had a couple that you posted on the
Yeah.
post.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I've been banging the drum about that Europe map
Yeah.
for like
Like
probably
just
a
how
year,
hard is
but
it to connect stuff? We both like we get on here and we wind each other up.
it blows my mind they haven't figured that out. Like they don't think people wants it anyway. But no, the two I posted is number one, the Cabot Trail, which is it's on the northern part of Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia in Canada, so we're at the far east coast of Canada, and it's like a just a famous like there's a national park there. You can go drive it, you can go ride it, and it's kind of like this foggy thing that twists and winds. It goes up and down all along the coastline,
Mm.
which we don't quite have anything quite like that. I don't think in Zwift. The closest thing would be like those new coastal ones, but those ones are kind of just flat and they go along it. This would be like it would be more like doing kind of like I guess half the Alp or like the start of the part where you go up to like the Epic, but imagine like both sides of that all collapse together and then like all along the face like cliffs that kind of go around the water. So it's kind of cool. And then the other one I said is I think we should like I wish they'd put like legit mountain bike stuff in. And I said like give us like a Moab, give us like mountain bike, desert, climbing stuff. I mean I get why like the experience of mountain biking isn't part of Zwift because it's too twisty and all that kind of jazz to like be fun on the bike, right? As you're watching, especially that third person view, it'd just be like swinging the camera all around. It wouldn't be very enjoyable, but just straighten it out and give us like a little bit of deserty mountain bike, Moabby kind of pedaling along and go through some arches and hoodoos and stuff like that. I think it'd be super fun. I know people don't like to ride the dirt because it makes them go slow and Zwift, but come on. I want to use my mountain bike for something besides the jungle and the temple. That's what I got. What do you got, John?
I mean, I think I agreed with everything you guys had said. The one thing that I've been questioning personally as I started running, which I know is not a taboo subject for the Pinktron, but I have a teenage daughter who's like, "Hey, do you want to run this 10K with me?" And I said, "Hell yeah!" And so got myself a Garmin watch and started training plans because I've never been a runner before. And we ran the race and it was a lot of fun. And now I'm thinking, oh, I found out there's a duathlon on Zwift. And now I got to figure out like, well, how do I do that? Can I make that work? And
Do you have a
um,
treadmill? That'll be the first thing.
I have a treadmill that is not suitable for running for anyone my height. I could maybe roll it
Oh,
outside, but it's in the garage and I can walk on it, but I'm not going to be running.
yeah. I guess you
But
could. Hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
what I've read is as long as you've got something that will post to Strava, that you've got a 5 minute window, you do your whatever it is, I think it's a 30-minute bike ride, you have a 5 minute window, and then you have to start a run that is recorded to Strava. So
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
give
They've
that a try.
expanded it. Okay.
Yeah.
So Brent, you've done the duathlons, right?
Yeah, what I did it like it was so it's a fixed bike time, and then there's an interval time to get into the run event. Then you go into the run event. There's a fixed run time, and I think it was like 30 and 15. I think you've got that right.
Mhm.
And I mean, you go to the treadmill and you just need something that transmits pace to
Yeah.
Zwift. And
Right.
most of those watches now, I'm sure if you have a Garmin watch that came in the last 2 years, it probably does it,
Yeah.
right? It probably broadcasts over AMP Plus, so that'd be all fine. And so you could even, I didn't know that they'll let you upload the file later on from Strava, which is kind of interesting. That would help all that. But you could even just like turn on Zwift on your phone in your pocket
Right.
and hook it to your watch and go for your run. And it would
Have
just
your watch broadcast to the Zwift. Yeah.
yeah, it would just measure it as you went along, which would all be fine too. Because I mean,
Mhm.
the thing that's different about like I did it one season, it was fine. The thing about running in Zwift is number one, like all the things that we talk about weight and well, weight isn't so important in the running one, honestly, because it doesn't really have much of a algorithm. But I mean, number one, there's no like pace algorithm, right? There's no smart trainers. So if the hill goes up 5%, everybody's just on their treadmill at 0%.
Right.
Or like nobody's adjusting their treadmill, especially in a race. Let's be honest.
It has always been really like demoralizing to be riding up the Alp and just have somebody run
Run by
past
you.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. There's no algorithm for that in the Zwift app. And then like all the things that we talk about Z power and the things that are inaccurate go about 100 times for anything to do with run pace measurement on most watch stuff. Like it's just like you could literally stand there and just shake your watch like that, and it would like measure it as if you were running, right? Because it's just like a pedometer, right? So as long as you move your hand so it looks like you're running, you can probably
Oh
fool it.
yeah. I don't think it'll take that. I think it has to have something with GPS on it. So Garmin or Polar or
Oh, it's
Fitbit
even
or
that far. Okay.
yeah, yeah, because it's got to be a GPS. 'Cause at least that's I haven't figured it all out
Mhm.
yet, but it sounds like it's got to be a GPS run. But I'm thinking from my house in 5 minutes, put on shoes, throw on maybe a shirt, and I could maybe get most of the way up the hill. And then I've got like a long 20-minute downhill the other side, get some extra kilometers in there.
Yeah. That's the trick. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the measurements, like I guess maybe this has changed because like there's a most of the treadmill measurement, like some of it is right off the belt. Like you can get something called, I think it's called like a noon or something, and there's a little marker that goes on the belt, and then it just
Oh,
does like an optical
measures it.
reading. So you can
Yeah.
just like turn on the treadmill, like eat a potato
And just
chip.
stand there. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
what, right. Right. Our
So,
treadmill will broadcast to Zwift when I turn it
oh,
on,
okay.
whether I'm standing on it or not.
Yeah.
Right. So just, yeah, punch it up to 11 and
And I know even for me, like I used a Wahoo ticker, which has like a time and flight sensor thing that does it
mm,
all right just in your chest monitor,
right.
and it was it was spiky. Yeah, like yeah, I'd set my treadmill at one pace, now you're running, and next thing I know it's going from like 430 a kilometer to like 215. Like it would just spike like that just for no
Right.
reason. It just had a bad reading or whatever. So
Right.
I'm not trying to cheat, but it's like I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was good. It was fun. It was fun enough, except for like it's just the same. Like it's literally like a 30-minute time trial,
Yep.
a 15-minute running time
It's a
trial
it's two time
every
trials
time.
together. Yeah. Yeah. That
And
wouldn't
so
be quite as interesting, I guess.
yeah, so you just get, you know, like it's the same event every time.
Yeah. I just can't bring myself to uh doing the swim part of a triathlon. Like that sounds scary.
Mm, yeah. The big open water swim part of a triathlon is very intimidating. If
Yeah.
you're doing like a full Ironman, like 3.8K in the ocean,
Oh no, no, no. No, no, no. I
that
do
is a real
the
thing.
sprint distance, whatever that is, but that still seems like a just a
Yeah,
flailing mass of humanity. Um,
yeah. Sorry.
You don't want to get kicked in the head underwater.
yeah, not especially. And
Well, you're not
yeah,
supposed to be under it.
I
That's
wear glasses, so then I got to figure out, okay, goggles, corrective lens goggle. I don't know. It just seems like a whole
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, I used to wear contacts. That was my.
Yeah, I've got contacts. I just haven't worn them, and I'm too lazy.
so I used to wear them all the time when I was doing all my sports stuff because I didn't have any prescription sunglasses. But then I got
Mm.
prescription sunglasses, so now I don't need to
And that
wear.
changed your life.
Well, it's pretty good. Although I gotta say now the annoyance is like I gotta like bring both my glasses, I gotta carry on this other pair of glasses in the car. It's a pain in
Getting
the neck.
old, man.
I just get made fun of for always wearing my like ridiculous like prescription sunglasses as my day-to-day sunglasses. It's like
Yeah.
okay, trucker man.
Yeah. I don't, but now I only wear them when I play lacrosse. If I wear my contacts, there's no, I don't. I tell you, like without my contacts in, lacrosse is very dangerous. The like I need my glasses for distance, so
Yeah.
it wrecks my depth perception. Like if someone's firing a lacrosse ball at you from like
You
60
you
feet
need
away,
that depth perception.
it's like, oh, the ball's that close. Sometimes like if I fall off and I'm playing catch with the kids like in practice or whatever, because like when I play, I have a helmet on, so it, like bounces off my face and I look like a dummy. But um, when I'm coaching, I don't have a helmet on. Sometimes it's like, whoa, that could have been bad. Explain that one to the judge in the morning.
Yeah.
You look like you've been in a fight, Robinson. Yeah, so I think that probably exhausts. I'll just say if anyone like to Sean's point about PC stuff, there are some very specific nuances to the way Zwift interacts with the PC. And there is a very, very good Facebook group. I know Facebook, whatever. It's called Zwift PCMR. And read the files. Number one, read the files. And then number two, um, don't then ask questions, but do read the files because Dave Higgins, who puts the group together, has spent a lot of time writing up this stuff and explaining why certain components sort of optimize based on price and output, right? So you'll get the super fast computer like Sean. It's just that you'll get 99% of the same experience for a third of the cost or tenth of the cost
Absolutely.
if you go get these certain used types of bits. So
So there are a couple. So you can also there's a Zwift Insider post
mhm.
on getting the ultimate guide to running Zwift at its very best. That was January 8th. And who was the Dave Higgins?
Yeah, that's probably him who wrote it.
Yep, he wrote
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So it's like here's and he has like the performance slash new components that you might want to use, the value or used, and then the ultimate component. Like if you really want to like make sure that you're good forever. Um, but I like what I did was I was just like I figured out what the components looked like that were going to be good and just like kept looking on Facebook Marketplace until somebody was getting rid of a computer that was really good for like a decent price. And if you have a good sense of what the components are that you need to be able to run things at a good I don't know what the cost would be to build some of these things, but like the type of computer that you're looking at is like a mid-level gaming computer from 4 years ago is going to just crush Zwift.
Mhm.
Um, so, and those kinds of things are the kinds of things that people are offloading for 300 or 400 bucks, which
Yeah, I paid about $400 total, including the graphics card and everything for the rig I'm running Zwift on now.
you know,
$400 Canadian even. But I think like Dave's based out of the UK and I think he's got it down to like 150 pounds that you can
Wow.
get one of these units for.
oh yeah, for I mean, I'm sure that for the like in his value slash used levels, there, I mean, the type of stuff that so even the ultimate profile that he's got up here is 4 generations old. The graphics card, those kinds of things. It's none of this is in order to run Zwift is not super power or resource hungry. Uh, it just needs to be stuff that works well for the types of things that Zwift does, the ways that it works, and that was not my laptop. Um,
Mhm.
but it turns out you can get something real like several generations old. So it's stuff that people are just trying to get rid of uh, will eat Zwift up like easily.
And it's not, I mean, I had to put in a graphics card and the computer, the rest of it all came. I thought I was going to put memory into it, but apparently it came with onboard memory. The guy who sold it me didn't even know about, but you can do it. It's not that hard. So you get the most out of Zwift, and then you can also use it to podcast on. Or edit videos or something fun like that too. So I think on that note, we will say thank you to John Keenan. Thank you to Sean Fogenberg. Thank you to everyone out in the herd. We're doing your races this weekend. We're doing herd races this weekend. Enjoy it all, everybody. Moo and good night.
Yeah.
Good night.